In the past year or so, we have seen news article after news article about malicious apps found on the Google Play Store. We have seen vulnerabilities that could own your device by just clicking on a link that looks like it was sent to you by a friend, but was actually used to hack your phone. We have also seen news about smartphone zero-click vulnerabilities, and in this case, you don't even need to click on anything. The moment one of these messages is sent to your phone gets owned. That could happen while it's sitting on your desk or in your pocket without you ever even knowing. There are several steps that you can take to protect your phone from these kinds of security issues, so just taking one of these steps really is not enough in this day and age. Now you have to look at securing your device past the lock screen. Sure, that first step is really great if your phone gets stolen, for example, but it does not protect your phone from remote attacks. So here are 9 different steps that you should take right now to protect your smartphone. Now, these are your basic fundamental security options. So if you already know how to do these, that's totally fine. Send this video to some of your friends, your family that could benefit from knowing these kinds of tips. This episode is sponsored by Delete Me, so if you want to take your security and privacy game to the next level, stick around because I have a sweet coupon code just for my viewers. All right, number 1 is setting up that screen lock. Now this may sound like a, well, duh, Shannon moment, but I recently hung out with a family member, I'm not going to name names, but they did not have a screen lock on their phone. Yeah, I ordered a beer when they told me that. Using facial recognition or a fingerprint to unlock is plenty for most folks, and these biometrics are kept locked away inside your phone. They are never sent to some server farm or copied by any apps, and this is because your phone is using this thing called sandboxing to protect your biometrics from getting out to any other applications. But it is easier for law enforcement to force you to use biometrics to unlock a device. And if an attacker has physical access to your phone, some device biometrics can be figured out. You could also lose a biometric if something happens to your face or your finger. Ugh. While biometric usage has offered a ton of folks a convenient security option when chances are they would never lock their phone or their device in the first place, those are legitimate issues and problems to think about. So using a PIN or a password to lock your phone is great as well, although those are not going to be as convenient. Now, there are laws protecting your PIN or your password from being given up to law enforcement because it would be considered self-incriminating depending on your jurisdiction. But if an attacker stole your device, they could still try to guess your PIN or your password, especially if you set it to something like somebody's birthday. Today's devices can allow you to use biometrics to lock your device, plus a PIN as a backup. So this gives you 2 different options for unlocking your phone, making the most convenient option the primary one. Now, even with the downsides, a lock screen is going to be multitudes more secure than not having one at all. I mean, think about it. You have a banking app, you have email and messaging, you've probably already signed into all of your social media on your phone, you've got photos in your Photos app. It's a whole treasure chest of data just reap for the taking. So why in the world would you keep that unlocked? Next is protecting your apps. Now, some apps like banking apps will require you to log into them every single time you open the app. They don't remember your login, and that can protect your app in the event that your phone ends up getting stolen. Now, some applications will allow you to customize those login settings. For example, you could choose to log in with biometrics in your app as well. You could require a password every single time you reopen that app. These options will either be on the login page where you open your app, or they would be under the settings for your account. In either case, if the application is storing sensitive data, you may want to consider just locking down the app as well as locking down your phone. Now we need to enable 2FA or passkeys. Now, whether that be social media, banking, your Google or Apple ID account, your email, whatever it might be, make sure that all of those accounts require 2-factor authentication or passkeys to log in if they support it. Now, most of your commonly used apps will now support some kind of second factor or authentication after you input your password to open the app, if they don't remember your login. Now, if they do, you will see it ask you to input a 6-digit code after your password, or it will ask you to tap on a hardware key. I have done several videos about the importance of 2FA, and I go into deeper detail on those episodes explaining exactly how 2FA works. where it's available, and how to set it up. Passkeys are somewhat new and they are not supported everywhere, but these can allow you to authenticate with an app by just using your biometrics or sticking a hardware security key into your phone or tapping it against your phone if your phone supports NFC. Now, this is a really cool option because passkeys totally replace the password. If you want to learn more about passkeys, I do have a whole series of videos about those as well. Now, you may run into apps that do not support passkeys or two-factor authentication. In those cases, having strong, unique passwords that you don't use on any other sites will help keep those accounts secure. I use a password manager, for example, to safely store all of my passwords so I don't have to try and remember all of them. Is your phone encrypted? Newer phones encrypt data stored on your phone by default, so you really don't have to do anything. But older phones may require you to do this manually, or they don't support it at all. Now, here's how you can check for encryption. First off, if you are using an Android phone and you set up your lock screen in step 1, well, good news. That lock screen also sets up encryption at the same time, so you're already good to go. You don't need to do anything else. If your phone has a micro SD card installed, data stored on that little micro SD card is not encrypted with the lock screen. So look for a feature in your phone's operating system settings that allows you to encrypt external device data or micro SD card data. If your phone does not support external storage or you don't use a micro SD card in your phone, then you can just skip that step. Similar to Android, iPhones also encrypt by default when you set up that lock screen. But if you want to take it further, iPhones also have a setting called Advanced Data Protection, which can increase the types of data that are encrypted on the phone. So to activate this end-to-end encryption, open your iPhone settings and find the iCloud settings because this works for iCloud. Tap Advanced Data Protection, then choose Account Recovery and follow the on-screen instructions. Now, these recovery options will protect you from accidental data loss, so go back into that menu after setting up your recovery option to ensure that Advanced Data Protection is actually turned on. Now, here's a step that you can take online to protect that phone number of yours, because nobody likes to receive spammy text messages. And the more spammy text messages that you receive, the more chance you have of accidentally clicking on a link that could be malicious. Now, data broker websites make our data easily searchable and publicly available, and there's so many of these data broker websites. That's data like your phone, your home address, your phone number, your email address, and a lot more. And yes, you can totally go to each of these sites one by one. You can find your data. You can request that they remove it if you can figure out how. But that could take days every single month to do because there are so many data brokers out there, and they don't just stop. They refresh and replenish data on their websites. So I signed up for Delete Me many years ago as a paid customer, and they take the hassle and the stress off of my shoulders. Delete Me sends those opt-outs so I don't have to by searching all of those data broker websites and sending them all those manual opt-out requests. Now, even though several of my friends who work in cybersecurity recommended Delete Me to myself, I realized that you might be a little sus about trusting a company to do this work for you. Delete Me takes a hardline approach to data security as well, with regulatory compliance and internal and external auditing. They have multi-factor authentication for your account and security awareness training for all of their own employees. Now, when it comes to threat monitoring, Delete Me monitors their network traffic 24/7 for anomalies, and they encrypt personal information both in transit and at rest. And if you are skeptical, you can always reach out to Delete Me directly with your own security questions. So if you are ready to take control over your data online, especially that phone number, make sure to check out joindeleteme.com/Morse code. I love this sponsor, and you can also get 20% off any of their consumer plans with the coupon code SNUBS. That's SNUBS, which will automatically apply at checkout at that link. That's joindeleteme.com/Morse code and 20% off with the coupon code SNUBS. And thank you so much to Delete Me for sponsoring this episode. Yay! Your phone is already more secure. So the next 3 steps are things that you should keep in mind going forward. First, never ever install apps from third parties. While the iOS Store and the Google Play Store are far from perfect, only installing apps from these places will protect you a whole lot more than if you just click on links from your browser or text messages and install packaged apps. Apple and Google screen apps before they can be administered in their stores. And even though slip-ups do definitely happen, it's better than trusting any kind of links. If a malicious app is found in either of those legit stores, those apps are removed and the developers can be banned. So if you want to take this a step further, you can read reviews of the apps. You can check which developer made the app because the developer will be listed in the listing in the App Store, and only download ones that you absolutely need on your phone. For example, sometimes a company will make an app, but it's so glitchy and terribly made that it may be better to just browse on their website via Chrome or Safari on your phone. You don't need to install every single app just because some company said that you do. Is that a hot take? I feel like it might be a hot take and some people might be a little salty about that, but that's how I feel. Now, if you do receive links or attachments sent to your phone via private messages, like through Facebook Messenger, via text message, or through email, and they were unsolicited, i.e. you never requested those links or attachments, they just showed up out of the blue, then just delete them. If it's important, you can call your friend or your family member and say, hey, was that link or that attachment that you sent, were you trying to send that to me? Like, do you recognize this? And if it's real, they will tell you. If it's not, then that could be a sign that they got hacked and they should start remediating that hack through their own accounts and warn anybody else who might have gotten a weird attachment from them. Now, lastly on this list is making sure that you keep your phone up to date. Don't ignore any prompts that you see to update your phone. Enable those automatic software updates because oftentimes those updates are patching known security issues. Set your phone to download updates on Wi-Fi and while you're sleeping so that they don't interrupt your normal usage times. Now, if you want to take things further, I would recommend checking out my security and privacy playlist on my channel, where I have delved into a whole lot of detail about encryption, data security, recommended apps for security, and so much more. It's like a whole thing. I love talking about security and privacy, so that's where you can go to learn so much more. So thank you again so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing as well if you haven't done so already.